here and Apache Cactus are both Java, but the Monorails project also supports this. What this is typically known as is a developer pattern called dependency injection. It does like inversion of container, which allows you to do in-container testing. Now, there's a lot of security properties that you can test at this level. I'd like to see people actually doing this, and I'd like to see test cases generated, because the earlier you can find out where these problems are when you're doing a secure SDLC or anything like it, the more safe your code's going to be. As far as typical unit testing, people are always going to say, you know, well, it doesn't work. You can't just do basic unit testing because you can only check for certain things. You can't check for a lot of security properties. You can't do session management. You know, you can look at input validation and special chars, and that's really it. Okay, yeah. Conclusion basically is that security testing should take place in every phase of the life cycle. You know, like I said, you should generate functional test code from operations and acceptance testing, and XPath will decrease the complexity and allow easier and better information exchange between those layers.
So if you think these, what we presented is like too academic, or it's never going to happen in your dev shop or whatever, I'd like to hear some opinions, what you think, and any other ways of doing it. And the best thing is XPath, you know, decreases the complexity of going from one testing tool to another and sharing information. So.
Well, thank you very much. We'll take questions. Anyone? Sure. Correct. Well, that's the whole point of testing with DOM-based XSS, right? That was our example. All of the DOM is on the client side. Canoe web test is probably better for testing input validation on the server side.
So you're bypassing the client validation, rewriting the DOM so it doesn't exist.
Correct. Yeah. Well, sorry we couldn't show it in the example, but it did work and it was relatively easy to do. Any other questions?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
You're talking about some of the libraries to clean up HTML malformation. Do you have,
Sure.
do you have any that are in JavaScript itself?
There's like some JS lint projects. There's a whole bunch of them. John Riesig talks about it in his book, Pro JavaScript Techniques. It's from A-Press. That's one good source to go to for those. I think he wrote one of them. jslint.org is probably the main one. As far as you say cleaning up JavaScript or cleaning up HTML? So using the JavaScript to clean up the HTML? Good question. I'll have to look into that. Do you know of one or no? Sure, no, that makes great sense. I mean, thank you for that input. I'll check into it and probably let you know. We will post it on our website, like any of the demos and everything. We have a Swift file even with it, so it's something that we should have easily been able to show, but since we had to switch laptops and had so many problems with the screen, we weren't able to show it. So yeah, it'll be available on www.tssci-security.com.
Anything else? Questions? All right, well, thank you.
Thanks, guys.
All right, thank you guys for that wonderful talk. We are now closing this room in order to tear it down so we can have our closing panel and our closing talk. So all of you need to get out. You have a half hour to get a snack. You just need to not be in any of the talk rooms. Again, the speaker feedback forms, please give them to any staff member or put them in the box outside of registration. Just not in this room, please.